Spinach is definitely a true staple green vegetable in many homes and gardens. We love growing spinach for its tender baby leaves early in the spring or late in fall. Unfortunately, when hot weather arrives, spinach goes to bloom. It basically bolts. If you ever tried overwintering spinach, you know how big and gigantic it can get. Just look at those thick stems. I've noticed that the spinach that was planted in the spring will never get as big and tall as the one that was overwintered, meaning it was planted in fall. Just look how tall this spinach is. I always leave a few spinach plants to go and bloom. Spinach has male and female plants, and the males are the one blooming and producing pollen, and the female plants produce seeds. So those are male spinach plants, and this is the female, and I will be able to harvest seeds afterwards. Okay, enough of spinach biology. Now that we talked about regular spinach that goes to seed in hot summer, let's talk about 5 varieties that tolerate hot weather and can actually thrive in the hot summer. Besides these 5 varieties, there will be also additional 5 honorable mentions, and I will do a taste test in the end, so please stay with me. And the first one in our list is tree spinach. You will see the Latin name on the screen, so you can do a research about it if you wish to. Tree spinach is a quick-growing annual. It grows into tall, bushy plants. Young leaves are stunningly flushed red to fuchsia pink, and then they mature into a deeper green color. It's almost as tall as my comfrey right here. About 2 feet for now, but I know it can get bigger. Once it started growing in my garden, I noticed that it looks similar to this common weed, also known as lamb squatters. Just look how similar they are. And then once I was doing my research, I realized that they are from the same family. It's an amaranth family, the same family as quinoa is in. More on lamb squatters in the end of this video. Tree spinach loves heat, sunny location, and it needs 50 to 60 days to maturity. So I picked one leaf for the taste test, and now let's move to number 2, which is New Zealand spinach. New Zealand spinach is considered to be an heirloom vegetable. Apparently, Captain Cook and his team aided to prevent scurvy in 1700s. This plant is native to Australia and New Zealand, but it grows well in my Midwest garden, as you can see, along with some wild alpine strawberries. Let's just pick a few since I'm here already. I love New Zealand spinach. This is my 2nd year having it in the garden, and I am planning to have it more and more. Next, heat-loving summer spinach is this waterleaf spinach. I have growing in pots over here, and as you can see, there are some buds already. It is also called boko boko spinach, Florida spinach, Ceylon spinach, and many other. Look at also my Hungarian pepper here. I can't wait to see these flowers to open. They're supposed to be really beautiful pink flowers, and the whole plant is edible, so not just leaves but the flowers as well. Let me pick one leaf so I can taste it in the end and let you know how I like it. The leaves look similar to regular spinach, but I would say a little bit thicker and more succulent. By the way, this is calendula right here, not a spinach. That's the spinach, and there is one more here, more there, and this is the one that's about to bloom, and another one on that side. So far, I'm happy with the way it's growing. It was planted in May, now it's almost the end of June. And plants are of a decent size. I can already start picking leaves and use them in my cooking. According to Baker Creek, from where I got my seeds, This spinach is the most drought and heat tolerant plants they know. So if you don't like to water much, this variety is for you. Next one is Malabar spinach. A lot of people have heard of this one. It's not a new thing among gardeners, and I have tried it last year for the first time and fell in love with it. Now I have to have it in my garden every single year. It's so pretty. Just look at these pink flowers. And it has a vining nature, so it climbs up on whatever trellis or structure you have for it. In my case, I had it growing on my community library, and it was so pretty. Everybody was asking, what is this beautiful plant you have growing? And when I was telling them it's spinach, they were like, what, spinach? Also, it has fruit, little berries. In the end of the season, they look like this. Supposedly they are full of antioxidants, but unfortunately they don't taste like anything. They are not bad, they're just bland. So they are good to use together with other fruit, like in smoothies, but on their own they don't taste like anything. If you want to save seeds, you will have to dry these berries and then plant them next year. There's also two types of Malabar spinach, green and red. I had red variety growing. Next is Egyptian spinach, also known as Molokhia. This Middle Eastern spinach is high in vitamins and minerals, and it was once a staple in the diets of ancient Egyptian pharaohs. It is also highly medicinal. It's used to aid in digestion, improve vision, reduce stress. It can be used in soups or even dried for tea. Egyptian spinach is a quick-growing annual that produces bountiful, tender, spinach-like greens, and it's a heat-tolerant plant that loves water, so make sure to keep it moist. It can be kept as a perennial in warm climates, but grows best as an annual in my conditions, which is Zone 5, United States. So I picked one leaf from the largest plant, and I will taste it in the end. Hopefully these small plants will catch up soon, because I really want to start cooking with this plant. So now that we've talked about 5 heat-loving summer spinach alternatives, I would like to also talk about 5 honorable mentions, which are not my favorite or I have problem growing, but I think they are worth of your attention. One of them is Caucasian spinach, also known as Haplitzia. This is supposed to be a perennial spinach in my zone, my climate. I planted it last year. It grew pretty well, but it didn't overwinter. So I don't know if I did something wrong, but I will be trying again. It has a vining nature similar to Malabar spinach, and it tasted really good, kind of similar to regular spinach. Next one is Good King Henry. I've heard a lot about it. It is also known as Lincolnshire spinach. It's also a perennial. Last year I planted it for the first time. It didn't sprout. This year I decided to sprout it in a pot, and I had a success. As you can see, it is really small as of right now, but I am optimistic. I will plant it out in the garden soon, and hopefully it will perennialize in my garden. I will pick a leaf so I can give it a taste. By the way, Good King Henry is also from the amaranth family, so it's related to the quinoa and the lamb squatters. Next is perpetual spinach, which belongs to the same species as chard and beets, but it has a distinctive difference. It tastes more like a true spinach than chard. And the leaves look like spinach too. They are flatter and more pointed than chard with slimmer stems. It is very long-standing in the garden, so it's a great alternative to spinach in those hot summer months. It's so easy to grow from seed. It is a biennial and usually grown as annual. To prevent the plant getting bitter in the midsummer heat, make sure the plants get plenty of water. Next honorable mention would be orak, also known as mountain spinach or French spinach. It's also a plant in the amaranth family and is used as a leaf vegetable. It was common before spinach and is still grown as warm weather alternative to spinach. The most commonly grown orak is a red-leafed variety. It comes with leaves in range of reds, pinks, and purples. There are also green oraks and so-called white oraks. This is how it looks when it's a small plant, but then it grows bigger. Actually, it grows super tall, 2-3 even more feet, and it also bolts eventually, not as fast as spinach. To prevent bolting, I like to pick the blooming stems. The leaves and young stems are the main edible parts. Younger leaves can be eaten raw. Older ones, they are a bit tougher and are best cooked. You can substitute orak in any recipes calling for spinach or Swiss chard. Just look how big this leaf is. Now, I've mentioned lamb squatters in the beginning when I was talking about tree spinach. I said they are from the same family. Now let's talk about lamb squatters a little bit more in detail. It is also known as wild spinach. Lamb squatters is known as a weed, but is actually edible and also a highly medicinal plant. Edible parts are leaves, shoots, seeds, and flowers. Lamb squatter can be eaten raw in salads or added to smoothies and juices. You can also cook it the same way as you would do spinach. So as we walk through the garden talking about different varieties of spinach, as you remember, I picked a leaf from each one of them. So now let's go inside and do a taste test. So welcome in. Now I have washed all of these spinach varieties that I had picked in the garden. You can see all of the different ones, and I am ready to do a taste test and let you know which ones I like and which not. I also have seed packets over here ready, so when I talk about each variety I can show you and tell you where to get the seeds from. Well, let's start with the tree spinach. So what it is, it's right here. I got my seeds from Strictly Medicinal Seeds, and remember it looked kind of like lamb squatters with magenta pink color in the middle, but the regular leaves look like this. And then let's break a piece and give it a taste. It tastes a little bit more like asparagus or chard, like it has that earthy flavor. It's not as strong as chard. I would say it's more as asparagus, so very green and clean. I like it actually, but the texture of it is not as crunchy, I would say, as the regular spinach. It's more chewy, it's more rough. All right, let's do which one was next? Next one was New Zealand spinach, right? So this is the New Zealand spinach, and this is how the seed package looks. So I got my seeds from Renee's garden, and let's give it a taste. This one is more succulent, more crunchy than regular spinach. It has a slightly acidic flavor, but it tastes just like regular spinach. So it's very bland, no distinctive flavor. It just has a hint of acidity in it. I love New Zealand spinach. Like, out of all of them, I think this is number one that tastes just like spinach. Alright, number three, I think we had boko boko spinach, also known as water leaf. This is how the package looks, and I got it from Baker Creek. Let's see. This one is even more acidic than New Zealand, but it's not only acidic, there is also sweetness to it. Kind of like, fruits are. Fruit are sweet and sour. So this is how boko boko spinach is to me. I like it. You know what it's similar to? Sorrel. Not as sour as sorrel, but has a hint of sorrel in it. Alright. Next we had, I think, red Malabar spinach, right? I was talking about Malabar spinach, and this is how the leaf looks when it's small. It is also very succulent, similar to the boko boko and New Zealand. It has no acidity. It is actually, I would say, peppery a bit. There is a hint of acidity, but compared to those two, it's nothing. It's more peppery. Like it, you know how nasturtium leaves taste like? This is how Malabar spinach, but very mild. If you compare it to nasturtiums are really peppery. This one is mild. Alright, now let's taste the Egyptian spinach, also known as Molokhia. I got my seeds from MI Gardener. This is how the package looks, and let's give it a taste. It tastes nothing like spinach, more, I would say, like a parsley. It's a little bit nutty, very rich nutty flavor, kind of like a parsley would taste. So I like it. It's nothing like spinach, but it's good. I love it. Alright, now let's taste those other varieties that I called them honorable mentions. So one of them, as you remember, was perpetual spinach, which is actually a chard, but it tastes supposed to taste like a spinach. And let's give it a taste. Yes, it's kind of like a spinach, similar to sorrel, like it has a hint of acidity, but not as strong as sorrel. It doesn't have that earthy chard flavor. Oh, and this is how the package looks. So it has long, narrow leaves, kind of like a chard, but tastes very similar to spinach. Alright, next was Good King Henry, which I only have it as a baby because I just planted it not so long ago. It's a perennial spinach-like vegetable, and let's give it a taste. It's very bland, kind of like spinach. I don't see any acidity, no nuttiness, nothing. So it's just like spinach. I guess it would be a great alternative to spinach if I succeed and it grows and perennializes itself. That would be awesome. Next was Aurak. Right now I have this variety of Aurak in my garden, and I know what Aurak tastes like because I've had it for a couple of years, but just for you I'll give it a taste now. Aurak is amazing because it has a few flavors in it. So it's a little bit salty, a little bit sour, a little bit nutty. So it's awesome. I love it. It's very rich, not too strong, so it's rich and delicate in the same time. I love it. And the last thing to try is actually a weed. If you remember, I was telling you that the tree spinach looks like lamb's quarters. Well, this is real lamb's quarters, and it's called wild spinach for a reason. It tastes just like spinach. When it gets bigger and older, it's supposed to be bitter, but who would want to harvest old plant? You harvest it when it's young, like this. And yes, it does taste just like spinach. So I'm very happy to have all of them in my garden, so I can have a great alternative to spinaches in the summer. And if you liked my video and you enjoyed this review of different varieties of spinach, leave a comment below and I'll pick one person from there and send you a full package of Egyptian spinach. As you can see, I have two. This one I already opened and planted in my garden. Whoever wins will get this full package of Egyptian spinach, and you can give it a try and plant it in your garden. So leave a comment below and let me know if you want this package of seeds. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!